Hello everyone and welcome to our training webinar for new features that have been released during the month of May. Lovely to have you all here. All right, so just for some general housekeeping, this session is specific to new feature releases in Astalty, so please ensure that any questions that you have are directly related to the features that we discussed during the session. If you have any other questions, we will be more than happy to answer them via support or in a session as well. Please ask a question in the chat function, and this session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the training guide after the session. To use the chat function, please click the icon in the bottom right. When asking your questions, please include as much detail as you can. There will be a short time at the end to respond to questions, and if there is additional spare time, we'll take further questions using the raise your hand function as well. To use that function, simply click on the highlighted option below, which is the little hand icon there. We'll be able to see that you've raised your hand to ask a question. If you no longer need to ask the question, you can press the button again and it'll lower your hand for you. Otherwise, when I call on you to speak your question, it'll lower your hand on your behalf. All right, let's jump straight in and have a look at some of these new features that have been released for the month of May. I will just change the screen that I am sharing. Bear with me for a second. All righty, we'll make that a little bit larger. Fantastic. Okay, so one of the first things that I wanted to cover was the clock location variance report. That's a mouthful. This is a great resource that's available to users who have scheduling enabled on their account. So let's jump in and have a look at reports. And under scheduling, you'll see that we now have this clock location variance. Now this shows clock events where the captured location, so where the support worker has clocked in or out of their shift, where that varies from what was expected, so the address that has been entered into the shift itself. So you can filter this report by a distance threshold as well. So if you wanted to review only the most extensive variances, you could select 10 kilometres and that will show you anything 10 kilometres and above. From within here, you can also isolate this down to a specific date range by selecting the option up here. You can also isolate to specific participants, and you can change the view to show only clocked in or clocked out events. Now, from this list, we can see that we have a session here that was clocked out 24 kilometres away from where we were expecting that clock out behaviour to occur. Now we can click on the three dots here and we can either view the shift details, which opens a pop out there to show us the support itself, or we can also click on the option to view on the map. Now what this does is it shows you the location of the scheduled support, which is highlighted in blue, and then it also shows the captured location where the support worker has clocked out. This in clock out arrangements often is a result of the support worker failing to clock out when they finish the shift, but it can also be an indication that you may need to reach out to your team to follow up on what actually occurred there. So this is a very, very handy report to have access to now. You can obviously toggle between weeks as well. If we had this clock in support here, for example, you can also open the support itself just by clicking on the row here too. So any notes that might have been captured from your support worker during their shift could also be visible in here as well. Just might help to narrow down why that clock in behavior occurred the way that it did. All right, another report that has been recently released is the Participants Without Plan Managers report. Now, generally speaking, this is something that occurs or is most visible when you are processing an invoice batch and creates administrative load in resolving those issues when you're trying to send out your invoices. So what we've done is created this report to identify any participants who have yet to have a plan manager assigned in their financial page where plan management has been selected as the financial source in their service. So to have a look at that one, we're going to go to participants in the reports menu and we'll select participants without plan manager. So we can see here that we do have two participants who have a plan managed service, but there's no plan manager assigned in their profile. You've got a couple of options from the three-dot menu here as well, where you can either view the plan directly, view the participant's profile, or the quickest way to navigate and update this error is to click on Set Plan Manager. This will open a pop-out where you can select the plan manager from your list of available plan managers, and you can simply update to remove this participant from the report. So that is the same page that you will see if you were to navigate to the participant's profile. Now, you can also isolate this down to your own participants or all participants where you have the relevant permissions to see. And you also have the ability to apply filters such as primary coordinator, service coordinator, or team to help narrow those results as well. So I will also just show you how that looks if you are going to navigate through the profile itself. So we'll click on the 3 dots and we'll view plan. Now, we can see here that we have got one service here that is plan managed. So we know that we need to have a plan manager assigned. We would navigate to the financial page of the participant's profile. And from within here, we'll click on edit. And this is the same pop-out that we saw when we selected the option from the plan manager's report itself. So if we were to go ahead and add another plan manager here and click update, when we navigate back to that report, we'll see that there are no participants who are awaiting a plan manager to be assigned within their financial tab. So great to get on top of that before you get through to your invoice batching. All right, something that has been highly requested is the ability to edit form submissions. This is particularly relevant where a form submission comes through with incorrect information. And quite often it's things like misspelling of a participant's name or their NDIS number or some other part of the form that needs to be reviewed. It may also be that you have a section within the form that you want to be filled out by your staff specifically, and that allows you to edit that field as well. So let's have a look at how that's going to appear to users. If we jump in and we'll have a look at referrals, for example. This is a great opportunity to see if you've got a participant who has sent through a referral and the NDIS number is wrong, you can simply hover over the section and click on the pen icon to edit the content. So say it was just simply 1 digit was wrong, we can save that change by clicking on the tick. What this also does is then provides us with an audit trail of the changes that have been made. So this is great for compliance. When you click on this icon here, you'll be able to see what the change was and who processed the change. So we can see that admin user, which is who I am logged in as at the moment, has changed the number ending in 4 to ending in 5. So that's really useful if changes are made to be able to see where that change has occurred. Now, the editable types include text, email, numbers, mobile numbers, dates, drop-downs, radio buttons, and checkboxes. Every edit is tracked with previous value updated with the editor name, like I showed just before. The file uploads, address fields, annotated images, repeating sections, and selector fields do remain locked. So this is particularly relevant where a participant's name has been selected, for example, in an incident report, and we'll have a look at that now. When we navigate to those particular forms, there will be limitations around what can be updated. So if we hover over the participant's name, we can see that we can copy the name, but there's no option to edit that one. We also can't update which staff members were involved because those are locked fields. If we were to scroll down to, say, the location of the incident, we can update that one there. We can also update the severity and any descriptions as well. So again, this has been very highly requested. This covers across your referrals, your incidents, and all of your form submissions through the form submissions page here. So if we navigate to all submissions, any of these forms within this list here, we can jump in and we can make any edits as necessary. Okay, something else that has been requested is the ability to filter notes by type. So this is something that has been requested where there is a combination of supports being provided to a participant within the organisation, such as maybe therapy and direct support. So if we have a look at one of our participants' profiles, let's check out Theron. Now, just for your reference as well, all of the participant information you're seeing today is fictitious, so no real participant data is shared during the session. When we scroll down and have a look at the notes tab here within the profile, we can see we have quite a few to sort through, and it can become a little bit cumbersome trying to find what you're looking for. So we've added a filter in here which allows you to sort by note type. And from within here, if you wanted to have a look at only tasks, so this is most relevant to support coordination or potentially therapeutic services, By clicking on task, it will reduce that view to those notes associated with tasks only. You also have the ability to sort by support or profile notes. So this is a note that's added by clicking on add note in the notes page, or also in this example, we've added an alert to the profile, which generates a note within the profile as well. Alrighty. Now, another cool feature that's been released is the ability to a budget to another participant. So if you have a support coordination budget, for example, that is generally the same for most of your participants, then what we can do is we can share that to another participant. So let's have a look at Theron's budget here. We've got a support coordination budget, and this is going to be the same for one of our other participants. So we can share this by clicking on actions and copy to participant. From here, we can select the participant's name, and we have the ability here to either use the current dates, or we can apply the plan dates of the participant that we are copying the budget to. Generally speaking, you're going to want to copy it to the participant's plan dates that you are copying the budget across to. From there, you'll just go ahead and click copy budget. And that will navigate you across to the participant's profile that you've just sent that budget to. So we can see here that the same details have been applied, except now we have this participant's plan details and we have the hours captured in here as well. Now, if we were to go back to our original participants page here, no changes have been made to their budget. There's no connection to the other participant. We've merely just copied the data across to make life a little bit easier for us. So that's just a quality of life improvement that hopefully you will all enjoy. We also have now the ability to download a goal summary that includes notes and tasks. So let's have a look at how that appears in the goals page here for Theron. Now we're going to open up our communication abilities goal, and we can see here that we have a task that was linked to this particular goal. Now we want to share this perhaps in a report or with the participant directly. What we can do is navigate to the actions menu and we can download the goal summary. You'll now have the ability to include tasks and notes within that goal summary. And when you click on download, that's going to navigate you through to the PDF version of that document. So we can see here in this tab that we have got the goal details themselves. We can also see the task that this goal related to and the notes associated. So a very helpful tool to share with your participants or any of their stakeholders that require that information. All right. Something else that has been highly requested is the ability to list risks in your template. So this might be relevant in support plans, for example, where you need to capture any risks that have been identified for the participant. So to start, we're just going to have a look at our settings first. So within our settings, we need to make sure that we have got a template generated that has the particular placeholder included. So I've started this off earlier today, a support plan template. It is a participant template type. Now I have started, but I haven't added in the risks as yet. So to do that, we're going to click on the participant icon at the top of the form, or the template, sorry, and we can see we have this all risks summary option. When we click on that there, that puts the placeholder in, which is going to put a table of that information regarding the participant's risks within that template itself. So to see that in action, let's have a look at one of our participants who has a few risks. We'll have a look at Delta. And from the templates page within the profile, we're going to select the support plan template and we're going to click generate. Now what that's done is populated all of the risks that are listed within the participant's profile. They do need to be active risks to be listed in this report. But basically what this will do is save you a whole heap of time when it comes to putting together your support plans, because it's capturing who the risk is to, the description and the controls. So hopefully you will all be very happy with that addition that has been released. Alrighty, let's have a look at improvements to our schedule. So previously, the only way you would be able to see whether there was travel in a shift or a part of a shift was to navigate to the day view mode. And we'll have a look at today specifically. And travel is identified by a line and a dot either side of the support where travel to and from has been included in that support. So when you hover over this dot, you can see that 10 minutes and 15 kilometres have been approved as travel to this particular support. Now, previously, this wasn't even available for group supports. It was only on direct supports. This is now available across both, which is extremely helpful. But to make life even easier, we have also added in some icons which show up on your week and fortnight view as well. So any support where travel is included will now be identified with a little car icon. And when you hover over that, it will show what travel has been included in that support. Really good quality of life improvement there for everyone who's using the schedule. Shift board interest notifications is something that has also been released. So let's have a look at how that appears on a different page. Just going to get this one here. All right, so when we broadcast a shift, we can click on Add Shift, select from the relevant support we want to broadcast to our team. And by default, this notification here will be selected, and it's notify me when a support worker expresses interest. Now, this notification appears in your Astalty browser, so you will receive that notification in the top right-hand corner. But basically what happens here is once you've selected your support workers, you may want to have this open to all of your team, or you may just want to select a few different people. So we'll select a couple of our team members now. When we select submit, we can choose whether that's going to be broadcast for this and all future shifts in the schedule or just this shift alone. So once we click confirm, that will go out to their apps to let them know that there is a shift that they can express interest in. But we'll also receive a notification, and I do have one from a previous broadcast that was posted today. So we can see here that Holly has expressed interest in a posted shift. When I click on this now, it actually navigates me directly to that shift as well. So if I wanted to assign Holly to that support, I can go ahead and do that and approve here. So that support has now been assigned to Holly, and we'll publish. Perfect. So now when we go back to our shift board, that particular shift has now been removed from that board. Okay, a big one is adjusting group support ratios. Now, there's a couple of different examples that I want to show here, but let's jump across to this tab, and we're going to go to scheduling. We're going to open up this group support here that we have for community access. Just have a quick supporter. All right. So when we have auto charges applied to a group, what will happen is the billing will be split equally across all participants who have been added to the support. Now, you can have as many support workers listed in the session. However, it is important to know that assigning support workers to participants is administrative only. It's not going to change the ratios. So if you had a group support where you've got 5 participants and 3 of them are supported by one support worker and 2 by the other, you would need to create 2 separate supports to be able to facilitate that. That will then capture your correct split ratios of 1:3 and 1:2 respectively. Now, in this example, what we're going to have a look at is our group billing ratio. So let's say that perhaps Anaya is a new participant and she's just getting a feel for whether or not she likes the support workers and the group that's being conducted, and this particular support is not going to be charged. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete the supports for, or delete the charges for Anaya within the finance tab here. So we will delete and we'll delete. We can see here that we're still billing at a 1:3 ratio. So our two other participants aren't actually being billed as we want to bill them. So we want to change that to a 1:2 ratio. So we're going to override, and we can change that from a 1:3 to a 1:2, and then click save. This might also be a good option if you've had a cancellation and you still want to charge at the agreed rate. So it might have been a 1:6 group and one of the participants has cancelled, but you have an agreed ratio billing of 1:6. And by cancelling the support for one of those participants, it changes that group billing ratio down to 1:5, where you're not charging the cancelled participant. So you might choose to override in that respect as well. You do also have the ability to override individually within the support as well. So if you wanted to change this from a 1:2, you can also change to a 1:1 for this participant. This would be most effective in a SIL arrangement. So I might actually show you in a different group support here. But quite often we'll have homes where there is a participant who is funded at a lower rate than the others. So it might be that we have a 1-to-4 ratio here. We've got auto charges applied, but one of the participants is actually only able to be billed at a 1-to-5 ratio. So we can override these auto charges to 1-to-5. And we might want to do that for all future supports in that shift. And that's going to update all of those auto charges for that participant to a different ratio. So very handy in that supported independent living space where participants can often have those different ratios approved in their funding. Alrighty, I think that was everything I wanted to cover off in the group support ratios. The important thing to note here as well is that it only affects the hourly charges. So your travel charges won't adjust based on the group billing override or the individual override. And that's because our travel is actually managed separately. So let's go back to this community access support here where we had some travel included. So by applying participants to the vehicle for your travel elements, this remains automated within this particular section. So we can see here we've got 2 participants traveling to and from the support, but we've actually got 3 during the support. If we have a look at our participants for, now who is it? Anaya has the during support as well. We can see that we deleted her finances there. But basically what you would be able to see here is that the group override, if we change this to a 1-to-1, for example, our activity-based transport is not adjusting. So that's remained at 1-to-3. All of the provider travel has stayed as it should for each of those components as well. So it will only adjust the hourly charges for the support. Your travel charges will remain unchanged. You'll need to update those manually if that is relevant. Okay. Now, the support notes export is another requested feature, which we will go and have a look at now. So in order to access exports, you do need to be an admin user. So these won't be available to your manager or team member employees. So we can see here that we've already generated one, but let's go through the process. We'll click on Create Export. And from here, we're going to navigate to Shifts. And we want these support notes. Now, this particular report has the ability to filter by date range, by who the note was created by. So that would be your support workers. The participants, you can also isolate down to specific participants. You can leave these fields blank, and that will just return every support note that has been generated between these dates here. Now, the additional search features you have here is to search by content, specific content that you're looking for. So it might be a key phrase that you are searching for within those notes. But you do also have the ability to include the support details and the shift details in this export as well. So that just helps to provide a little bit more oversight around what that note related to. So to see how that appears, I will just share that window with you guys. Okay, that's probably a little bit small. Can you all see that okay at the moment? Yep. No, that's not showing on your screen? Just a bit small?
Needs to be bigger.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, here's the embarrassing thing. Here we go. How do I zoom? There we go. All right, let's go 150%. That's better. Lovely. Alrighty, so what we can see here is our column headers, who the note was created by, when it was created. So the note itself will have its own timestamp of when it was created. So irrespective of when the support occurred, the note creation time will be listed separately. You'll also be able to see the participants that the note relates to and the content that's been included in the note. Now, if we scroll across, we can also see where it's a group support, what the group support name is, the date of the support and the time that it started and ended, as well as the clock-in details as well. So you have both clock-in and clock-out information there just to, I guess, compare against what was actually scheduled. So this has been highly requested as well. Great feature to have, and I guess provides a little bit more oversight for you if you are sharing this information with key stakeholders. Okay, let's jump back across to Astalty. There we go. Fantastic. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you today as well is an option to bulk delete documents. So this might be relevant where you have a participant who no longer is within your service, and the documents, you've had them for 7 years and you no longer need to keep them anymore. So to delete participant information, what we're going to do is we'll have a look at a participant's profile first. We'll go to Betsy. And we'll jump down to the Documents tab to have a look here at what's currently in this participant's profile. So you can see we have a few documents here. Now, we do have the ability to open up each individual document, and we can delete it manually this way. But it'd be a much faster option for us to do that through a bulk delete. Now, to make sure that this is not something that is accidentally processed by your team members, it is an account owner specific action. So only the account owner can access this particular setting, and it's done through the settings menu, and we go to data management. Now, from here, you get a warning to let you know that selecting a participant and continuing will let you permanently delete every document. So let's select Betsy from this list, and we'll click on continue. You'll get another warning to let you know that they are about to delete 6 documents for this participant, and the action cannot be undone. So this will be processed in the background, and you do get a notification once it has been completed. So let's go ahead and click on delete all documents. We can see that this has started, and we can see that it's been completed. Now, 4 of those 6 documents have been deleted, 2 have not. So what we can do is we can navigate to this update to let us know why that has occurred. Now, the reason that these 2 documents haven't been deleted is because they're attached to a record. So any records, they will not be deleted. Signature requests or form submissions as well will not be deleted. So those will require manual review if you want to remove those specifically. But like I said, this is only available to account owners, so it does provide that little bit extra security to make sure that you're not losing data that you do not want to lose. All righty, let's share another screen with you now. Okay, so we'll open the floor up now. We've got some time for any questions that you may have about these features that we have shared today. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask, feel free to raise your hand, or you can use the chat function as well if you like. We'll give you guys a few minutes. But yeah, definitely raise your hand if you have any questions. Or even let us know if there's a feature that you think will be extremely helpful that we have released in this month. We have a question there from Trelity Management. Yeah, go ahead. You may have your microphone switched off at the moment. Referral section, yep. Will there be functionality added to do external referral, not just internal? So at the moment, this referral functionality is internal referrals only. I guess another option you could use for submitting external referrals would be to use your templates, or you could potentially use forms. But I guess in most situations, different organisations will have their own specific referral form that they would want you to complete. So at this stage, the referrals will only be for internal referral requests. No problems at all. Were there any other questions? Yeah, Davina. Just noticed that we don't have the scheduling tab. Okay, so scheduling is an additional feature that you can add to your profile. So this is something that needs to be done through the settings menu and through optional features, which is only accessible by the account owner. So what they can do here is select enable to switch on scheduling if that's going to be relevant to your team. There's no additional cost for accessing scheduling itself. If you do have support workers that you want to add to Astalty to use the support worker dedicated app, then those users can be added at a rate of $30 each per user per month. If you do choose to take up the yearly subscription offer, then that brings their annual cost each down to $300 per user. So you can switch that on again through your optional features within the settings menu there. No problems. We've also got another question here from Elizabeth. Is there access in schedule to put support coordination and recovery coaching and then put in travel for visits? So generally speaking, we don't recommend using scheduling for your support coordinators or your therapy providers. It doesn't mean that you can't. Effectively, they would still be required to to clock in and clock out of the supports. They would also have access to complete case notes in the same way that your support workers do, but they do then have limited accessibility through that support worker app to see the relevant participant information that they would generally be able to see. So where we would ordinarily recommend utilizing the tasks feature for support coordinators or for your therapy providing team, this provides a lot more oversight for them. So they have the ability to access more participant data than the support workers do. Like, for example, they can navigate to the participant's profile, they can view goals, they can view documents and records, the directory and utilization, for example, whereas your support workers have a very limited visibility. Now, if they are admin users and have been set up so that they can be scheduled on for supports, they can still access certain elements of the participant's profile, but the support worker app is really dedicated to support workers specifically. Can you put appointments into a calendar? You definitely can. So within the calendar here, we actually have the ability to link tasks as well. So if we were to create this particular support here, what we can do is we can create a linked task. You can then select your participant from this task. You can apply a relevant charge item, and you can mark whether it's going to be billable.
Are you supposed to be sharing?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Holly.
You're good.
It's one of those days. Sorry, guys. Let's start that again. So from calendar, and I didn't share where scheduling is as well. I'll go back and show that in a second. From the calendar, we can select a time frame. We can then add the event details. So it might be a face-to-face meeting with a participant. We can select the event owner. So it might be Judy who's going to be conducting this event. We can create a linked task and select the participant from this list, apply the charge item, and the duration will automatically populate based on the time that was selected within the calendar. You can also mark whether this is going to be billable and if the task itself is already completed. Generally speaking, you won't be ticking this because your support coordinator or your therapy person will likely be completing that case note at the time of the event. So what we can do here is click on create. And from there, when we click on the event now, we can see that we have the option to view the task. So that's going to navigate us straight to that task so we can complete our case noting directly from within there. So hopefully that's a big help there for you, Elizabeth.
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic. I will just go back and just cover again how we apply those settings for scheduling. So we'll click on settings and optional features. And just within this list here, if you don't have scheduling currently enabled, you'll be able to select that option from the list here. Apologies for not sharing that screen before. Any other questions that you would like me to cover today?
I thought I'd just jump on that and mention I'm on my settings page. I'm looking at optional features and I don't see that drop down for me, but I'm wondering if perhaps that's because that's for the account owner only to see and not the admin. Okay, I thought that'd be the case. Just thought I'd double check that.
Yeah, absolutely. No problems. Brandon, I'd love to talk about review contractors and staff payment function. Okay, we've got a little bit of time. I can briefly cover that one for you. So we do have the ability to manage our subcontractors in two different ways. Are you talking specifically about your support worker team, Brandon, or is this more around support coordinators and therapists?
A bit more around therapists.
Therapists? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool. And are they using scheduling or are they operating through tasks?
They would be operating through tasks. I'd also be curious if like they didn't need to actually charge a code so we can run all of our contractors through this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, at this stage, we can create staff payment batches for all of your therapy or support coordination contractors, but managing your support worker contractors is a separate function at the moment. So unfortunately, what I show you now won't relate to your support workers. Effectively, you would rely on your completed shifts export, which will provide you with the support worker's name and the hours that they've worked during the date range that's been selected. That would be the best option. So that's just through your exports, create export, and we'll navigate to shifts and completed shifts. This allows you to break it down also by participant, but specifically users. So if you do have, one or two specific contractor users that you want to include in this export, you can narrow that result down to just those specific users. But what we'll have a look at is our staff payments functionality, which again needs to be switched on through optional features and is only accessible by your account owner. But once you've enabled staff payments, what we can then do is have a look at our charge item settings. So the way that our staff payments functions is that the rate that you're paying to your contractor is applied to the charge item that is included in the participant service. So at the moment, those rates are not user-based, but charge item-based. So if you had a couple of contractors who were on different payment rates, and this is something we're hearing more and more of, you would need to create multiple charge items to apply those relevant rates and apply those charge items to the participant service. We do have a product development project underway at the moment to explore a better way of managing that, where you do have varying rates. But at the moment, this would be our process. So within our charge item settings, we will click on Manage Payment Rates. And from here, we can see we've already applied a payment rate to our level 2 support coordination. When we click on the 3 dots next to any of our charge items, we have the ability to update the rate. And you can choose either between a fixed amount or a percentage of price. Once you've made your decision around which type, you can then enter that value in the rate amount field and you can then update. All right. So from there, what you would then do is you would apply that charge item to the relevant participant's profile within their service. And then when we get to our invoice batches, it is important to note that you do need to process your invoice batch before you process your staff payment batch, because we work off of what has actually been charged out to participants. So we'll navigate across to our finance tab and we will create a batch. We'll just focus on tasks specifically, charge type tasks, and we will generate the draft batch. And let's just mark that one complete. So you can see here we did get a little notification to say that this task has not been marked as complete. So we can now view that task and we can mark as complete. And when we come back here, that alert has been removed. So when we finalize this batch now, we'll confirm. Once that has been fully processed, we can then navigate to our staff payments tab and we can create our batch. Actually, sorry, I have got ahead of myself. Before we do that, we need to make sure that the users have actually been configured correctly. So when you have a look at your users within your menu here, let's go to Macy. We want to make sure that the employment type has been selected correctly. So we can see here employment type is contractor. This ensures that they are picked up in that staff payment process. If they were selected as employee, they wouldn't be captured. So that's just an important thing to make sure that you've done there. And then also within our HR and payroll, sorry, now our finance tab, my apologies, you need to update the bank account details for that user. And you can also update their other financial details. So if they are registered for GST as well, once you've entered their ABN in there, you have the ability to add in their GST registration too. And you can mark whether or not they're entitled to superannuation. Of course. Alrighty. So once the user profile has been configured, you can then go ahead and process your, another step ahead of myself here. We need to make sure that we have configured our staff payments effectively in our user settings as well. This is the ABA file details that you will be generating. So it needs to make sure you've got your account name, your account number, your statement description, which is character limited. So that's why we have no spaces between staff and payment there. That's not an Astalty thing. That's a bank stipulation. And then you also need to make sure that you've selected your financial institution there as well. But once all of that has been done and we go back to our finance tab and we've processed our invoice batch, we can then go ahead and navigate to staff payments and create our batch. Now we can see here we've only got one task that was generated for a contractor during that particular date range. We'll generate that draft batch and the date range was previously selected. It's just making sure that that is correct. We can go ahead and click apply. Now from here, we want to calculate the batch and confirm. Now you will likely need to refresh this page just to force that to finalize, which we can see here that's now been calculated. When we come into this staff payment batch now, we can see the breakdown. So we've got our subtotal and our adjusted amount. Now, if you had processed a staff payment a week ago and one of those charges had been voided for whatever reason and those funds were no longer recoverable, what will happen is Astalty will make that connection and will actually reduce the total payment paid to this contractor on their next payment to make sure that you don't have to recover those particular costs from the contractor as well. So it's just saving that additional administrative load there for you. Once you're happy with everything here, you'll go ahead and click Finalize Batch and confirm. And now this allows you to select the Actions menu here where you can now download the ABA payment file and you can mark your payment date. Once you've marked it as paid, this will then appear within the contractor's reports page where they'll be able to see my payments and it will provide a breakdown of what has been included in that specific payment. This will then allow you to download the ABA file that you can upload directly to your bank. And if you do want the additional feature of downloading the Xero bills as a CSV file so that you can add those into Xero yourself, saving your admin time there as well, we can enable that feature for you too. So if you would like to learn a little bit more about that one, definitely reach out to our support team. We can book a session with you to go over that in more detail and also provide you with some relevant links to the guide. But it is a great feature for managing payments to contractors for like support coordinators and therapists.
Just on that, and hopefully I'm not trying to use this outside of what it's scoped for, but let's say the contractor isn't always charging a participant and they're actually just charging the business. Would I just need to get a little fancy with the charge codes, as in like charging Xero to the participant or just not have participant attached to the task? Is that?
That is a good question. I would have to come back to you on that one. The way that this is built is around billable charges. So
Got it.
If there's no billable element to the task, then it's not going to get captured. I guess if you're paying them for their unbillable time, then yeah, that's something that I'll have to go back to the team and see if there is a workaround there for you.
Might just try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you could always set yourself up as a participant, I suppose, the organisation as a participant, and then that would allow them to go in there and add billable time. That might be the best way to manage that. Because you would then just be invoicing yourself, I guess, effectively. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The only issue with that, though, is that it's going to show as, like with your configuration, if you've got Xero linked, it's going to show as an outstanding invoice. So that might not be the best option, thinking about it.
Right.
It would skew your data. Yeah. Let me come back to you on that one. Would you mind sending us a support request on that? And we will definitely do it.
I would love to, Kimberly. That's all I do.
We love it. It's great. Awesome. All right. We've probably got time for one more question if anyone would like to ask something else. All right, we might wrap it up there then, guys. I'll just share our other screen. And I'll move my face out of the way. All righty. So thank you everyone for attending today. If you do have any questions, ideas, or you want to continue the conversation, feel free to reach out to us. You can send us an email directly to support@astalty.com.au, or you can click the support button in the software. So you'll find that up the top of your Astalty browser. And from within that support button, you'll have the ability to send us a bug report, a feature request, or a general query, and that will come through to our support inbox where we can then respond to those questions. You can also join the Facebook Astalty community. This is a really great group of people who are using Astalty. They're a great resource to ask questions. You may have questions that are outside of our scope, but within that community, you might be able to get the answers that you're looking for, recommendations, or something to that effect as well. So definitely jump in. We have major updates we need to share within that space. So definitely join that group and we would love to have you there. Thank you very much for your time today, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you again for our next session, which will be on Tuesday, the 16th of June, where we will be conducting an Ask Me Anything session. So please bring all of your questions along and we look forward to seeing you then.